Hi, this is E.W. Claville, and this is another Claville Report Synopsis. Today I'll talk about President Joe Biden and his recent tour to Virginia Beach. Was it just a town hall, or was it a re-election campaign kickoff? Coming to Virginia Beach and the Commonwealth of Virginia is key in many aspects for any president, especially now. Virginia has gone back and forth and is seen as a bellwether state. So when President Joe Biden came to Virginia Beach to talk about the champion that he did for health care, many saw that as maybe more so than just a town hall. With 2024 right around the corner, a lot of questions are out, but I think we do have some answers. We'll talk about that more coming up on this Claville Report Synopsis. President Joe Biden visited just last week Virginia Beach here in the Commonwealth of Virginia to tout the legislation that really helped to improve health care for many people. All the bells and whistles of a president coming into an area was on display. He flew into an airport here for the military of Virginia Beach. On Air Force One, he was greeted by members of the military and their families and others at the airport. You had all of the highways that were shut down. You had a police escort. He came to a community center where a lot of constituency for healthcare were there. A lot of citizens were there, and a lot of individuals just really anxious and glad to see the president. But was it just another town hall, or was it something else? Now, from my purview, I had an opportunity to actually attend and had an opportunity to engage the president himself and talk with him for a few moments. And then I had a bird's eye view, a front seat to actually hear the speech and see the people and their reaction. Now, I will say this. When he talked about the legislation that he championed for healthcare, there was positives across the board because those pieces of legislation helped not just Democrats. It didn't help one group of people or two, but it helped all Americans that needed it at that time. In addition to that, he also touted the response to the pandemic, how we as a country were able to roll out vaccinations for the entire country successfully to inoculate them against COVID-19. But not just the touting of healthcare, not just the touting of the legislation and also coming out of the pandemic, which the White House did announce we were at the end of the pandemic. But it was also a galvanizing of individuals in the community that played a key role in healthcare and ensuring that all the citizens, especially here in the Commonwealth and Virginia Beach, receive the healthcare that they're due. These were all positives across the board. But there was something else that was there. Now, when we talk about the president visiting, when we look at the timing, we look at the place, the congressional district, and the location of where it's located or where it is, it all, in my opinion, it points to one thing: re-election. So let's take a look at Virginia Beach and the Commonwealth of Virginia. Virginia has become what's called a bellwether state. It was red, reliably red, then it turned blue, then it turned purple. The way that Virginia goes, the rest of the country has gone as relates to the presidents. So with that, Virginia becomes a very important player in any re-election or any presidential election coming up. Now, when we look at Northern Virginia, it is the suburbs or deemed the suburbs of D.C. For those, we all know that D.C. is bursting at the seams for those that visit there, that live there, that do business there. It's one of the greatest cities ever, the 20 square miles. But with that comes some challenges of living and raising a family. So many people opt to come below D.C. in Virginia or the neighboring state of Maryland. With that being the case, individuals now find themselves in an area that's highly intellectual, highly engaged. And then you have the city of Richmond. You have the phenomenal landscape and region of West the western part of Virginia, not West Virginia, but the western part of Virginia. And then you have what's called Hampton Roads. Hampton Roads is very diverse in its people, different cities, military, very rich in military retirees and bases. It's the home of the largest naval base in the world, and also home to Virginia Beach, a phenomenal tourist city with great views of the ocean itself. But it's also politically very strategic for the president to come here, because right now, the governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, the lieutenant governor, the attorney general, and the congressperson for the 2nd Congressional District all reside in Virginia Beach and are from Virginia Beach. A stronghold of conservatism right now in this time period in our country and in our state. For the president now to come into that particular city, into the state, and choose that city, but not just that city, but the congressional district, the 2nd Congressional District, currently held by former state senator Jen Kiggins, who is a Republican, who beat the former Congresswoman Elaine Luria, who held the seat, which was a Democrat. That seat has flipped many times since it was redistricted about 10 years ago, well, 12, 13 years ago now. So it shows that he's coming into a district that he believes that has changed and possibly can change again. And he's coming there ensuring that his message is heard. Finally, the president coming at this time period in February, after midterms. We all know what happens after midterm elections. Basically, you start gearing up for who you believe is going to represent your party in the next presidential election. The great advantage that a sitting president has for re-election is that they're sitting there. They have the bully pulpit. They can pass legislation, tout legislation, and they can utilize that particular pulpit in order to get their message out. And that's exactly what this president is doing, as many others have done so when they ran for re-election. But this time period shows his party, the Republicans, and the country that he himself believes that he can be your president again, our president again. He believes that he can lead the country effectively and efficiently. He believes that he can ensure that the country continues to move on in a positive trajectory. In other words, President Joe Biden's visit to the Commonwealth of Virginia, touting health care, which is very important legislation that was passed and that he continues to support, was not just a town hall, but rather an announcement that he's running for re-election. But it's a long election. The season is here, and we're going to keep you up to date here on the Claville Report. So stay tuned and wait for the next Claville Report Synopsis.